Welcome to my show where we talk about love, where we allow ourselves joy and compassion, where we are open to our authenticity, where speaking our truth is our birthright and we claim our abundance, our prosperity. Welcome here to this space where I share my love for healing, my love for connecting with women on a soul level, because I believe that we all have a purpose on this planet, and I am here to help you awaken that aspect of yourself. I am here to help you claim your inner power of safety and trust and creativity and confidence and love and healing and speaking your truth and intuition and connecting with those around you. Here and now is this space that I have created to join women together. I love you and I'm so grateful for you. May we lead with love and light, joy and compassion, my beautiful soul sisters. Hello, my beautiful soul sisters. How are you today? How is your life? How are your relationships? What is going on in your world? Where am I this week? I'm always really excited and grateful for this space that we collectively have created together. We're like in the mid-30s episode, and every week it's like all of the things that I want to connect. So as I am opening my heart to you, my beautiful soul sisters, I ask for you to do the same for yourself and to perhaps, as you listen to the stories that I share or my reflections, that perhaps you have similar things or have in the past going on within you, because what one of us experiences, we all experience. And I'm showing up this morning and it is like 9:42, and I had my podcast last night that I was like having this like sleepless night and I couldn't sleep, and I woke up. I didn't even wake up because I didn't fall asleep. It was like 12:30 and I recorded a really awesome vulnerable podcast, and then my freaking computer won't upload it. So I'm just like exhaling it out. And maybe this is just an opportunity for us to hold space when things don't go the way that we want them to go, or when we're not on time for something. And I know that these like really constricting feelings happen within me when things don't go the way that I want them to go, because I have really realized that control is this way for me, and I know many of us, of dealing with everyday anxiety. And I'm kind of like digging deeper into like, where is the origin of anxiety originating? Like, where is it coming from? Where is it coming from? And I know for me, I really have resonated with my whole life being an empath. And I've off and on talked about this. And an empath is someone who can feel other people's emotions, who can walk into a room and just feel like, oh, this is yucky, or what's happening here. And I had like the prime time, like crazy empath thing happened when this weekend, my husband and I had a wedding to go to that kids were not invited to. And at first I was a little frustrated, like, who doesn't invite kids to a wedding? And then I just deeper was like, you know what? We need this time together. And I get it. Like, it's your special day to our friends and you get to pick who you want to have. And we have 3 extra people. So I get it. And I came to this acceptance space, and we were staying in this house with friends who recently adopted a baby, and the mother-in-law or mother of one of the friends, and then a friend from a different state. And we get to the house and it just kind of has this like weird vibe. And it just was just feeling like the whole layout was weird. The energy was weird. And the mother, just for her privacy, I will call her, I don't think she would care if I shared her name, but we will call her Sage. That's always a beautiful name. Sage. We'll call her Sage. And Sage is like this beautiful 70-year-old, really like tiny but beautiful genuine, authentic, spiritual woman who I just love and have this really deep heart connection with her. And we always just kind of riff when we see each other. They live in Steamboat, and we really just connect. And she has this beautiful, amazing, enlightened labyrinth that she built. She started building a few days after her husband had passed away, and his energy is there. And so she does this energy technique that was actually created many moons ago, many years ago. It's called dowsing, Dowcing, if I am correct. And it's like these two rods, and they have like this copper kind of like port, and then it looks like this L-shaped, almost like antenna that shoots out, and you hold them in either of your hands, and you tune into your guardian angels and your spirit guides, and you have to ask these very like important questions like, I'm trying to think of all of them. May I, can I, should I? So you start with like, may I with this, I can't remember exactly. I'm like just learning. May I with dowsing, clear any, she says entities, but that doesn't resonate with me. That feels a little creepy. So energies from this house. Should I, with the power of dowsing, clear any entities from this house? Can I, with the power of dowsing, clear entities from this house? And Sage said she never brings her dowsing rods with her, but of course she brought them, and I brought my tuning forks. And she brings them, and we're kind of like all settled in our room, and I just am feeling like, ugh, just like that, that creepy feeling that you get on your back when you walk through a room. And part of being an empath is like sensing this energy. And I've really been working on doing this practice of being a grounded empath, like really connecting my energy to the earth, protecting my energy, not letting things in. But it gives me goosebumps even now thinking about it. It's like, ooh, this energy was just like so prominent. And I said that to Cindy, and she was like, yeah, it just feels a little uneasy in here. And she said, I brought my dowsing rods, and I was with her daughter, and we were in the living room with their little baby who's 7 months old, and just such a beautiful, pure essence, amazing. Oh, love this little man so much. And the living room was actually like the one place in the house that the energy it felt fine. It was like, oh, the energy in here feels protected. But it was like anywhere else you went, like hallways, bathrooms, up the stairs. It was a huge house because our kids were going to stay with us at this house, but they didn't end up coming with us. And I know why, because there's no way that Junie could have been in that house with the energy, because it was like, we kind of were joking about it, that it was like this spooky, almost like haunted house. And I don't like scary movies. I don't like tapping into that field. And I have plenty of friends who love that. And with this time of year, it's like October, Halloween's coming up. People freaking thrive on this. So for me, I'm like, no, thank you. Well, the universe is like, really? Well, I'm going to like hit you head on. And because you are this empath energy, you're going to tune into this. And so my beautiful friend Sage was dowsing the house, and she was explaining about these dowsing rods. And it almost seems like you tap into your energy, and it's effortless. You hold them, but with conscious control after you ask these questions. And then she said, you take a pendulum, and there is this kind of meter, kind of imagine a circle. And on the top half of the circle, there's a 1, and for beneficial energy to a 10 beneficial energy or entity, or there's 0 to -10 entities. And then you take your pendulum and you kind of tune in, and you ask like which entity is in the house. And there was a -10 detrimental entity in this house. And it was feeling like, I could feel it. It was like this one hallway when you first walked in the house was like creepy, like goosebumps standing up on your legs, rushing through your body, just like, yuck, get me out of here. It was interesting because my husband and our friend from out of town, they spent that first evening outside because they were like, get us out of here. But I just felt this calling to hold space for my friend Sage. And she said she was upstairs for about 20 minutes. And she was explaining that there's kind of like these energy grid. I think of like energy meridians in our body. Well, there's these grid lines that go within houses and on lands. And we were in Idaho Springs, which is like an old mining town. And the energy, I mean, it's beautiful, but there was just like some weird energy. And there was like a cemetery that was really close to the house. So I don't know what happened in the house, or if it's like carrying on energy or old energy, or perhaps the person who built this house was like a mad scientist, because even the layout of the house was just like awkward. Like the way the rooms were set up, and it was really tall and stacked up and just didn't really make much like architectural sense. Ugh. It's like one of those things that just like, woof. And so my friend Sage comes down the stairs, and she's this beautiful, like 5'1", short, gray, curly hair, and these like beautiful light blue rectangle glasses. And just like, she's asking about the entity in this house, and it just aligns. And I'm standing on the opposite end of the hallway where it's like, whew, I'm like, I can just feel it right here. And she was saying that she spent all this time upstairs, and it was like this direct line that dropped from floor to the first floor to the second floor to the basement. And like watching her, so she walks towards it, and these dowsing rods, you like ask them, like, yes. And these dowsing rods, they kind of, for her, yes, they float out towards her shoulders, yes. And then the no comes and it crosses the midsection like an X. But it also helps point in the direction. So she was asking, like, where was the detrimental entity? And she walks right where I'm standing. And I just stand there, and I'm like holding space, and these dowsing rods just start spinning and spinning and spinning and spinning and spiraling and spiraling and spiraling. And it feels almost like these rods are creating almost like a portal to help move this energy. And it was like intense, and I could feel it. And I was just like, holding space, love and light. I'm holding space. I'm sending love and light. I was just like protecting my energy, my beautiful friend Sage's energy, and holding this energetic space for whatever this creepy -10 detrimental entity, which, wah, and she spirals and she moves, and it takes about 15 minutes to clear this energy entity in the freaking front foyer living room. And you could feel it. It was just like softening and softening and softening and softening. And then she proceeds to walk and turn around, and she goes towards the dining room and the kitchen. And that energy wasn't super potent, but this detrimental energy then once again down the stairs, like just creepy vibes. Bah! And we go down where we're sleeping, and our friend is supposed to be sleeping. And it just doesn't feel right down there. And the space that we were sleeping in didn't have like a lot of like crazy energy. And my friend Sage also asked, do you want me to clear any residual energy off of the bed? And I was like, yes, please. Why have I never thought of that? Like, think of you're staying at this creepy vacation rental, or any vacation rental where there's someone who maybe left, think if you get in a fight, or you get angry, or overwhelmed, or all of these emotions, where do they go? Like, these are energies that are flowing to and through us. And if it's a house like this that has this really low vibration, they're just going to lock on and magnify. And it's interesting because as you are in this energy, it does almost pull you down into that low vibe unless you're really consciously aware. And I just kept like sending love and light, and Cindy and I, or Sage and I, were sending love and light, love and light, love and light into the space. And then we get to the hallway that takes us down, and these are the beds where my kids were supposed to sleep. Hello, universe, thank you. This is why I didn't come there. And once again, it was like those goosebumps, and we just put it together. It was this same grid line that ran from the basement to the main level to the second level, and then all the way up to this like playhouse at the top. And it was just spiraling and spinning, almost like this, like, wah, yucky vortex. And then I looked over and I see this door, and I'm like, oh my goodness, that is not feeling good over there. And this beautiful soul is just like standing here, clearing this energy, like letting it spiral. And I mean, I think again, we're down there for like 15 minutes, just like the dowsing rods are just like off the charts, just like, they spin and they spiral. Fast. And she's just holding them. I mean, I can tell she's this beautiful 70-year-old woman. Her arms are getting tired. She's been doing this for well into an hour. And when you do energy work like this, it just depletes you. It makes you feel really tired, and you need to drink like a lot of water to rehydrate yourself. And then we go into this closet space, which surprisingly enough didn't have as much of that like really low vibrational energy that I would have thought, just because it was this like dark storage room and it had this old mirror in it. And a lot of times mirrors can have like these portals and weird things, because think of, we're looking in the mirror and our spirit, it's a gateway to our spirit. And again, like, who knows what happened in this house? And this lovely soul gets done and she finishes, and I off and on and getting her water, and she's like, she keeps off and on like coughing and just having like, you can just tell it's kind of affecting her energy, because it was such this like I said, -10, low vibrational, detrimental entity, that even just hearing that word entity, sometimes it like creeps me out. But it was funny because within that same day, we had a friend and he works for museums, and he was talking about different art pieces and he would call them entities. And it was like this wonderful transmutation of like, oh, words only hold the power that we give them, once again, as I know, and that we don't have to put these low vibrational things on whatever. And this house, just like, even after the dousing and sending love and light and like calling on our guardian angels and spirit guides, it was just like feeling like, it just wasn't feeling good. And the first night that we slept there, I just didn't sleep well. It was like this really restless sleep, and I got woken up like 3 times by weird energy, and I just kept sending out my spirit guides and guardian angels. This was like straight up, like Rex was saying, like the Amityville horror house. Like it was the most creepy spirit experience I've had inside of a space ever. And I didn't realize how affected I was going to be. And I think I was maybe over trying to protect my energy. And maybe that's why the energies were like, we don't like your high energy, and trying to mess with me. And so the first night I had that experience. And then my beautiful friend Sage, she was sleeping on the 3rd level, which it was like kind of like this giant, maybe box upstairs. There was like a little hallway, a bedroom, and then it carried like a U-shaped Jack and Jill, huge bathroom with huge closets, to another bedroom. And she said in the middle of the night that she kind of woke up in her sleep and she looked over and she thought it was her daughter getting into bed with her. And she's like, that's weird, because she's with her husband and her baby. Why would her daughter be getting into bed with her? And then she was just like, oh, shake it off. And then she looked over again, and then it was like nothing. It was like, that was interesting that happened. And then in the morning, she was like sharing that with me, and we were just kind of talking about dowsing and just other things, and we're just having a real beautiful heart connection. And the baby was down for a nap, and he was like upstairs in his little pack and play, and they had this video monitor on him. And I'm sitting there with Sage in the kitchen, and we hear this baby cry, and we're like, oh no, buddy, like you're having a hard time. We're sorry you're having a hard time. And we just figured, oh, his mom's upstairs with him. Like he's fine. He's upstairs with his mom. And we heard it. And then his dad actually was in the bathroom on the main level, and he came out too, like thinking, like, he's like, oh, my son's crying. And then we all look over at the monitor, and the baby is like sound asleep. The baby's just like sleeping peacefully like a little angel. And his mom comes down, and she had taken a shower, and like we asked her, and no, he wasn't crying, but there was a baby cry that we heard, and it gives me goosebumps right now. And then my friend Sage grabs her dowsing rods, and you can just kind of like ask questions. And she was asking a question about that sound, the crying baby sound. And we were like, well, could it have came from the TV? Because there was like a Green Bay Packer game happening, and all these men are like from Wisconsin, and they're Green Bay Packer fans, and they were watching that. And we were like, maybe it was a commercial. There wasn't a commercial. And she asks the dowsing rods, like, was this from the house? And it was like, yes, it was like a communication from the house. Woo, goosebumps everywhere. And then she asks, like, and she said, not all entities are bad. Like there's beneficial ones. Like we all have our guides, our guardian angels. Sometimes we have loved ones that we've lost, and they're with us and they're supporting us. And so she just got a hit. She's like, oh, what she was saying too is that you can totally like give your premonitions and make your dowsing rod say what you want. And she was saying that when that happens, or like if I'm thinking something that we needed to like scramble our frequency. So she said, scramble the frequency to any thoughts that I'm having about this. And was this entity my husband, John, who passed away? And it goes, yes. And then we both were like, oh, it was just somehow John's energy communicating with us, telling us that he was there with us. And it was goosebumpy. And even like knowing that his energy there just felt really wonderful. And then that day we went out, we were out in the town, we were walking around, there was beautiful fall leaves. I didn't realize that this whole episode I was going to tell you a story. So here we are, story time podcast. And it was just beautiful. And we went out to lunch and then we came back and we got ready. And then we went to this lovely, beautiful wedding that was just like this incredible ceremony that was right by the river, and the aspen trees were changing, and they had this huge concrete pad with beautiful flowers where the bride and groom stood. And then we were all just on these flat wooden benches. I mean, there was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in this half circle that were like 10 rows deep. And I can't even tell you, it was like the most magical, picture perfect wedding that incorporated nature that I've ever been to. I was just like in awe of the beauty and the way that it was actually the groom's brother who was their officiant, which was like so beautiful. And he was like amazing. And he shared this story about how this space many, many years ago was a space where 2 Native American tribes lived, and they like shared this land, and it gives me goosebumps. And they shared this land, and then he brought in, that we're joining two tribes, 2 families together. And it was just like, it was beautiful. And then it's funny because I've always had this like, I don't really love how weddings can be so stressful. And for years I did hair and makeup for weddings, and I would always get kind of like slapped with like that last minute like stress of the bride and the groom, and right with this empath energy that my whole life I let dominate me. I've learned now that I don't have to take on other people's stress, and even the energy of all of the people at the wedding and being away from my kids and having this weird kind of energy at this house. It was like I allowed myself to show up and just connect with the people that I needed to connect with, and spend some time with my husband, even though it wasn't like one-on-one time. But we got to just like be there. And it was this like, have you ever not had your kids for the weekend and you've looked so forward to it, but then it's like you arrive there and you feel like, what do I do now? I feel like incomplete. This is so weird. Like even today, I don't have any of my kids at home and I'm here talking about them. That's like what we do. It's so interesting. And so we have this beautiful, lovely wedding, and there's music and all the things. The music's like so freaking loud. And I maybe just like the older I get, I'm like, wow, I don't really like super loud, crazy music. But I was just enjoying the energy of people. And I had 1 beer earlier in the day, and just like watching people have like over consuming alcohol, and they were just having wine and beer, but it's just like funny to watch people and how people act. And then I get this like contact buzz from other people's vibing energy, just like wee. And then we get back to the house, and we get to the house, and I was like really hungry because they had like a vegetarian meal, but it was like they had jackfruit, but the guy said, do you mind if I use this meat wand to serve, this meat spatula to serve your jackfruit? And I was like, no, thank you, because vegetarians, we don't really want meat touching our food. So I just had it. I wasn't really filled up. So I was like hungry, and I was like munching at like 10 o'clock at night. And then the guys were like, let's get in the hot tub. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, I didn't even bring my bathing suit, but I had like underwear and a bra. So whatever, I just wore that. And this was the most positive, amazing part of this house was this. But even the trail to get up to the hot tub was just like really weird. Like a mad scientist had, or the energy of the house had like collided the path. But you get up there, and it's like far from the house, like, and it's steep, and it was really cold because it's like fall in Idaho Springs, Colorado. And it was like a full blast. I think it was maybe like a day or 2 after the full moon, and we're just surrounded by pine trees and black as night and stars and this beautiful hot tub. And we just like get in there, and we were chatting a little bit, and my friend Sage was in there, and the couple with the baby were in there. And then they ended up getting out. And then my husband and our friend from, I think he's from Georgia, Atlanta, maybe. I can't remember. But we're sitting in there, and we just like, it was like silence, just like being with the stillness of nature. And it was interesting because the house had this like sensor light, and it would like turn off. And it kind of gave you this creepy vibe because you're like, what is going on with that house? But then you're like out here in nature. And I was like, I'm feeling and absorbing my energy with the positive vibration of nature. And I kept like doing kind of like mind clearings, like I'm clearing the energy of the house. I'm clearing the energy of the house. And then that night we go to bed, and I again just have this like sleepless night when all of this energy is over consuming me. And I'm like rewinding because I took my tuning forks out, and each chakra, I like went along the energy grids of the bedroom. And I don't think that the energy of the house appreciated that. It got really mad at me. And when I was sleeping, it wouldn't let me sleep. It was like anytime I would try to like doze off into that space, it was like no. And so I just had to like, it gives me goosebumps, like protection energy, grow my bubble. And I honestly don't think I fell asleep until 2 o'clock in the morning that night. And just, I popped out of bed at 7, and I was like, let's get out of this house. Like, I'm done with this energy. No more. I'm out. And it was just such this interesting experience. And then we came home to our house, and I just felt like, like light, and so grateful that our house has like such good vibrations and such positive energy. And I didn't realize it until I went into that house. It's an interesting thing. And that was that story and ranting. And yeah, it was one of those like, just like this huge awareness around this whole like need to absorb energy. And I think that's where I was going with this podcast. Sometimes as I'm chatting here, as you know, I'm like, where am I going with this? So I don't know if I told you, but I've been feeling I'm like switching gears. We're switching gears. We're moving away from the creepy energy of the creepy house, putting positive energy out. And so I have been feeling, I told you the last episode that I'm feeling really called to write a book about alchemizing empath energy, how we can, as these like deep feeling people, shift that. And even in these situations where we're just like exposed, like you get a vacation rental, you don't know if it's going to have good energy or yucky energy, and to just doing our best to alchemize, to transmute that energy. And the best practice that I would say, that if you're ever in a situation like that, and with Halloween coming up, there is like a lot of spooky energy. And the more scary movies that you watch, the more stories like this that you hear, the more you kind of attract and bring those low vibrations in. And all of them come from fear. Like that's what Halloween is like, based on fear, scaring people, spooky things. And for me, I kind of transmute it into this beautiful celebration, transmutation of seasons and fall and darker nights. But when we are faced in these scary experiences, what is it that we can do to protect ourselves and to not just like shove down like, oh my God, that didn't just happen, like, or just ignore it, like protecting ourselves with the energy, the vibration of love. And an easy way to access love is to just say mantra, I am love. And I've said this probably on like so many episodes because it freaking works. And if you are wherever you are in the world or your life, and you're in that fear or anxiety, and you choose the thoughts that you want to think, and you turn your radio station to I am love, I am love, I am love, and you repeat it, I am love, I am love. Even whispering it, saying it out loud is even more powerful. Write it down. I am love, I am love. You can't help but protect your energy. And what happens is it brings you up from fear, and then it raises the energy, it raises your vibration, and it helps you shift. And you're transmuting, you're alchemizing that need to be an empath, that need to be that sponge of the environment, and to shift that. I'm pretty sure last week's episode, Harpersode. Nope, last week's episode was actually Letters to a Starseed. But I did share a bit about this like new excitement that I'm having. And I am really just working on becoming this rooted empath. And I think this is like the biggest thing that empaths have been missing is rooting our energy. And so this is totally perfectly imperfect, but the other night, I've been having all of these nights where I'm like, I can't sleep. And I'm like, I'm going to do something with this energy, with these thoughts that I'm experiencing. And so I'm writing this chapter in my book about the rooted empath. And here's my roughest of roughest. And there might be spots that don't make sense, but this is what I get. How can we learn to root ourselves into this moment? How is it possible to get rooted? One of the hardest parts of being a sensitive human with a gift of empathy is not feeling safe or even connected. Often we feel like we are the only one. And the thing is, you're not alone in these feelings. I know for me, getting rooted has taken practice. And the more I think about the challenges I have with grounding myself, the harder it becomes. As I have learned, we are all energetic beings, that there is an invisible energy linking us and all people, objects, and even nature together. The best way to learn how to get rooted is to get out of the thinking mind and to get into nature. As I have learned, I already read that part. Yep. Y'all's queen. Oh my gosh, this totally just like, so when you're trying to be all studious and amazing and then your computer acts like that, that's what it did. It just routed me back up. Okay. Finding and connecting with a tree or many trees can help us root into ourselves. If you live in a big city where nature is sparse, a lovely houseplant can be your teacher. And again, coming back to the thoughts, regardless if you think you have a green thumb or if you kill everything, this will become your truth. Taking care of a houseplant is energy, attention, and loving something outside of yourself. If you alchemize your energy around caring for the plant, tree, flower, you can only succeed. The choice is yours. If you are blessed, as I am, and have a tree or many trees that surround you, or perhaps there's a tree in a yard near you, or you can walk somewhere and take time to connect. I mean it, to really connect here with the trees around you. Because I know my entire life growing up and living in Colorado, the trees have been everywhere. And even in the big cities, there's trees surrounding people's properties. Trees have always been this strong, grounded, unconditional loving energy that I have felt supported by. But there were many years where I took their love and rootedness for granted. Wherever you are on your journey, the trees forgive you. The trees forgive us. The trees are open to love here and now in this moment. And they can teach us that. I just made that up. I'm women. Outside of my daughter's window, this is funny. I think I have another, this is another really big story, but that's like what I'm starting with. And it feels really good to share this with that like empath energy and how we can like alchemize and shift these feelings. This is how writing goes. Do you know this about writing? That it's like a process and then it takes many drafts and it's just like almost like vomiting out all of the words and just getting it out. I'm like scrolling through this, but yeah, I don't even know where I'm at, my beautiful sisters. I'm here. I'm feeling a little sleep deprived and I'm just feeling also like grateful for this quiet space. I'm just like sitting in my house. Last night I was sitting here recording a podcast that perhaps the universe did not meant for me to share. Maybe I just needed to get those things out that I said last night. But I'm sitting here and it's like light and there's trees and it's like quiet and I have like probably 4 loads of laundry on the couch and I have a list of things to do. And I've really been just honoring the resistance that has been within me, honoring the doubts. Have you been experiencing that a lot? I had one of my soul sisters from the Hive, Soul Sisters Collective. She was sharing about this planetary shift and I don't have, actually, maybe I'm going to find it for you. I don't think I can read it exactly because I think it came from a source, but it really dives deep into what's happening in the planets right now because holy shit, if you're anything like me, I've really been like having so much of this just like feeling like, okay, here it is. So I'm going to kind of like improvise this in my own way. So my soul sister shared how our moon is in Taurus and that Mercury has been I don't know if not retrograded, but like it's entering into Libra. And if this resonates or not, I just feel like it's really interesting. And that Pluto is a direct station. And that as the moon is in Taurus, that it used to be this time where we could like get comfy and cozy up and just feel comfortable in our skin and our environment. And this is because Uranus has been just like hanging out there. And apparently there's this emphasis in the North Node, which I don't really know much about, but I'm just sharing this because it does resonate. And the North Node has just been like chilling right there. And that we're not, because of this like new alignment in the planets, that we're not getting these same comfy, cozy feelings like this time of year that perhaps that we used to. That and this is bringing this big awareness that have you been feeling a lot of discomfort lately? Like, have you? Have you been? I've been experiencing like so much discomfort and so much resistance around everything that I do. It's like this like energetic, "Rah." Have you noticed that? And it's probably felt like that for a while now. And it's probably the planet and the universe is also responding, reacting to manifesting from all of the COVID and the separation and war. And there's just like so much separation. And it's only natural for the planets to pick up on that energy and shift us. And the universe is making us feel uncomfortable because of all of this. That's what resonates for me. And this thing that my girlfriend shared with me was saying that as spiritual people or awakened people or whatever we vibe with, that we kind of have like put this perception that we manifest what we want and that we always want to have like positive thoughts, positive energy. We want to be happy and joyful. But what is the actual reality of discomfort? It's none of those. Like when you're feeling uncomfortable, there's really no positive thoughts. You're just really focusing on the negative. It's like, let's get down to it. And then we can just like ask ourselves like, why? Like, why are we so uncomfortable here? Because we're not used to being in this muck, to being in these deep spaces of discomfort. And then this is this thing I was talking about, like some of us who have been, maybe this is like really resonates with me, like our whole life that we've lived in this poverty mindset. There was never enough money. There was always lack. Maybe you had to hoard and hold on to your things because you were afraid that you would never get them back. And that we always lived paycheck to paycheck, or even back in my days, it wasn't just paycheck to paycheck. It was like paycheck to negative bank account balance. And I would get paid and it was like negative $300 with over $100 in late fees that I would constantly manifest. And I was always worried. It was like I would pay the mortgage or car payment, or, oh my gosh, going through the grocery store line, like, oh my gosh, am I going to have enough money here? Maybe I should just write a check. Should. No more shitting on ourselves. So what if we have kind of grown past that and we're in the space where we're actually manifesting money, and we have money. We have an abundance of money. We can comfortably pay our bills. We can feed ourselves. We can buy clothes that we like. We can feed our kids. We can go on that weekend trip, go out to eat. But still, what if we're still stuck feeling that discomfort? Because now we're going from like that comfort of like always having that lack, like you're just comfortable there. We're comfortable there. And now if you are in this space where you have more money and you have more abundance, you have more self-realization, it's uncomfortable here too. It's like, what the fuck? Why is all this discomfort? what is it like we really, as these spiritual beings, like we want for all of these things and these goals, and then we fear them. And when they do arrive, we're like, oh my gosh, what do I do with this? That's why you hear some of these crazy cases of people like winning the lottery. Say they win like $1 million or $5 million, and then they just blow it, and they're back in that negative bank account balance because they haven't shifted that energy around how it feels. They haven't really delved into that discomfort, because think of anything brand new that we are trying or embarking on, it is always going to be uncomfortable. And the only time we get comfortable is through routine and habit and through showing up. Like I think of my kids, think of the kids, and when they first started school at the beginning of the year, everyone was so uncomfortable. And now we're a couple months in and everyone's kind of more in a routine, and they're like having more friends. They have that, they're feeling more comfort. But before, the comfort was immense discomfort and a lot of resistance. Like, I don't want to go to school all day. Okay, I wanted to get back to this thing. And it's also talking about that here and now, perhaps we're feeling feelings that we've never felt before. Or if you're anything like me and you've been on this healing journey, that you've like cracked your energies open, you've cracked your heart open, and this pain that we're working at healing, it's still there. And it's like, how is this still here after I've done all of these meditations, all of this sound healing, all of this yoga, all of these positive thoughts? Like, how is it still here? It's still really uncomfortable and physically painful. That, right? Part of healing is freaking feeling. And it's not this like instantaneous gratification that I think that the internet has really fucked us up. Like the internet has taught us like, oh, I can get online and I can order something and it will be to my house in 2 days. That is not the reality of when it comes to manifesting. It's like we have to wrap in everything is manifestation. So you have to think of whether you're manifesting positive things or negative experiences into your life. It's that energy that you were feeling on a daily basis. And perhaps we have been kind of trapped here. And this is talking about how Uranus is in Taurus. It's in the Taurus season, and it's giving us this change for the long time stretch of things. So thank you, Uranus, for being in Taurus, even though, so I think of my husband as a Taurus, which is like the bull. He's like super stubborn, super strong personality, but also just like a really loving, like in the heart of his core, like just a really loving person who's very adventurous and very also like gets on the track of like what he wants, which, so that kind of gives me a little bit of awareness because I'm not like the astrology guru. I'm really like tiptoeing like in the very basics of astrology, but I'm fascinated by it. And so, okay, what is this saying? That so with Uranus in Taurus, that it is helping us learn resiliency for something that can stand the test of time. And it's saying that maybe we've been going through a lot of these like huge moments, and maybe there's been these like huge crashes in our life, and we have to ask ourselves that maybe this thing wasn't meant to last forever, that there is a season for everything. I really resonate with this, that it's like people and relationships are in our life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And maybe you can just kind of reflect on that with people in your life who maybe you thought would be there forever, and you mourn that loss of that relationship and you're like, oh my gosh, but then you have to remember that they were in your life for a reason or a specific season to help you along your journey. And as we learned from Letters to a Starseed, beautiful Rebecca Campbell's book, that our relationships are one of our greatest teachers. Like really, they are one of our biggest growth sources. Okay, so now we're learning that Pluto is direct, and it can take us into our inner shadow, that can bring our inner shadow into reality, if I'm reading this right. And it says that that we've been doing work perhaps on noticing how we have been responding or reacting to this inward change, and maybe even our inward growth journey. And right, that is that voice, maybe the inner critic, the ego. And it's time for us to take that power and to tell our ego no more, that we can, even though maybe there are these resonant fears, that we can head them on. Like we can face the fears, and we have to say that fear, you don't have the power over me because love is so much greater. Like I was talking about in the beginning of this episode, that when we're crossed with whatever, it's like a creepy house or a person with low energy or whatever it is, that I am love is stronger than that fear. And even if there is fear, there's always going to be fear in the world. The universe would not have created fear if we were not meant to feel it. So even these false perceptions of, if we're on our awakening journey or on a yogic path or a spiritual quest, whatever it is, that there's something wrong with us. If we're experiencing fear or anger or anxiety or blame or shame, there's nothing wrong. We were put on this planet as these souls having this human experience to actually experience these human experiences. Okay, so this is telling me also that Mercury is in its Libra phase. And I don't know much about Libra. So if you're a Libra, maybe you can kind of connect to that. And it's saying that it's really calling for balance where it's needed. And that if we can bring ourselves to a place of unconditional love, because each of us are deserving and worthy of love just because we are, just because we exist on this planet, just because we house here, this body, this mind, this spirit. We are worthy of love. And the universe is here supporting that when we can allow ourselves to connect to that loving energy and not allow the fear to completely dominate. Because yeah, there's moments and days where that fear takes us down, but it's those transcended moments where we transmute and we can actually be love. That we know that we are deserving and we are freaking worthy of abundance, so that we do not need to be struggling paycheck to paycheck or negative bank account balances, worrying about paying for groceries, that the universe supports us, and money is just another form of energy. And really, I've been tapping into this a lot lately. Like, what is your energetic relationship with money? Because most of the time, like nowadays, we have like debit cards or credit cards. Money is this invisible stream. How many times through the day are you worrying about that invisible stream? How many times a day are you sending that invisible stream of money, love, and gratitude? Like knowing that you can pay your bills with love and trust that it's just going to cycle back in, that it's not just going to be gone. You're going to wake up and like, oh my gosh, it's gone. It's always here. And that the universe wants us all to have abundance. Like the universe really does want this for us. And how we can tap into this is that through acceptance that there's going to be discomfort, and leaning into that discomfort, riding the discomfort, like just going for the ride is like that gateway to the abundance of the universe, to manifesting whatever it is that you want in your life. And even I'm thinking of like this spooky experience. And obviously we all somehow came together and manifested that together. Like you have to think of, there is no accidents. Like maybe there are just sometimes these upheavals, but even an accident, like in a car, cars running together, it is said that our vibration is in alignment with that vibration. And we were brought together with that person, and that crashing of metals or screeching of tires, because that's the energy that we needed to experience from our manifestations of our thoughts and our feelings. And this is something that's so true that we often forget. And even me, I forget too. We're not perfect. We're perfectly imperfect. Is that if you're thinking this thought right now and you don't want it to come true, you need to realign and you need to shift your thoughts. You do not have to be stuck with that stream of garbage rolling across your mind. You do not have to be stuck with the feelings of fear just over consuming you in your body. And even I'm learning all of this like empathy, rooting, and alchemizing energy. And I still struggle with going to the grocery store. Like COVID got me so comfortable with clicking and ordering. And if I have to go in the grocery store, it's like it's hard for me. I have to like force myself. And even this was an interesting observation is yesterday was my niece's birthday and I went out to lunch with my sister, her husband, my daughter, my niece, and then some old friends who are like grandparents to our girls. And I pull up and I don't see anyone. I'm like, okay, I'm the first one here. And I get there and I put our name on the wait list, table of 7. They're like, oh, it's going to be about 20 minutes. Well, long story short, it was going to make me late to pick up my boys. I was experiencing all of this anxiety and even just like walking up to this host stand, which is so ridiculous, but I'm saying it. Not ridiculous. This is just my experience. I was experiencing this like anxiety of like walking into this energetic space and talking to these people. And I'm outside and then all of these worries come like, oh my gosh, Jack's going to be late. I need to call the school. Oh, my friend's out of town. She can't help me pick him up. And then within a matter of 3 minutes, like I was actually looking, there was this massage like parlor next door and they had like a foot reflexology chart and I was like transcending inside of that. And then before I know it, this beautiful soul, Rosie, who's like a soul mama of mine, comes out and she's like, Shelly. And I just look at her and our energies just like lock and I run up to her and I give her a kiss on the cheek and I hold her and hug her. And I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even see you here. She's like, that's so funny because we saw you and we waved at you. I'm like, I didn't even see you. I got just so trapped in all the energy. And I kept trying to look at the trees around me. I'm like, I'm rooted. I'm rooted. I'm rooted. I wasn't really rooted. I was like floating away. And they had a table. My sister, my brother-in-law, the girls were already in there. And it was funny because all of these like invisible worries that I was just creating, like, oh my gosh, I'm going to leave Jack and blah, blah, blah. Nothing even happened. I ended up getting to the school early and the people who let the kids out were like 10 minutes late. So it was just like this interesting noticing of the way that I process energy and I receive energy and knowing that even as spiritually or energetically evolved as we become on our healing journey, that stuff does happen and it creeps in and that we have to just be open to what the universe is giving us because we don't always get to be in control. And I know with the best of us that this control can be this way of helping us feel comfortable. And it gets extremely uncomfortable for control freaks when things don't go our way. Like I've been experiencing personally so much resistance from my son and the weather's getting cold and he's like a 5th grader and he's turning into one of these boys who doesn't think it's cool to wear his coat, but we live in Estes Park and it's freezing. It's like 30 degrees. There's frost on the houses. Like you can see your dragon steamy hot breath around you. And Milo's yelling at me, telling me it's stupid and he doesn't need to wear a coat. And I'm like, and it was just like really bugging me. It's been bugging me. And I had this talk with both of my sisters and it was just like, thank you, universe, that's not serving me trying to control Milo. He's going to have natural consequences and he's the one who's going to be freaking cold. And that I'm just depleting and sucking my energy dry and wasting my energy worrying about how cold Milo is. Joy says hello. That I just have to let it go. And then I had the same confirmation from my other sister, Amy, and she was like, Shelly, it's okay. Milo is not going to die of being cold. Like he's going to be okay. And I just sit with that and say like, what? I don't get to control what he wears anymore. Like I don't get to make him put his coat on, but guess what? Junie will wear her coat and Jack will. So it's like, these are one of those like small, but like huge moments of release where it's like, okay, I don't have to hold on to that need to control my kids all of the time because it has served me for many years to control them and to help them keep in alignment. But now they're getting bigger. Like Milo is 10, Junie is freaking 12, almost 13. Like they're growing and Milo is just at this point where he wants more independence and freedom. And I am like, I'm exhaling and I'm just doing hard things as the beautiful Glennon Doyle has taught me. And if you haven't ever read Glennon Doyle's book, Untamed, it is an amazing book. I haven't read it actually in well over a year, but a beautiful book about just like freeing yourself from the cage that you put yourself in. Like even me with the control. Like, what is the thing that you have been caging yourself inside of that you think that not just you, but me, I think that I'm controlling him and that's helping him. But really what it's doing is that energy is just pushed back to me. And the only person I'm controlling is myself. And then it's like this push and negative pull energy that is like not serving me. And in this beautiful moment of reflection that I can just sit here and hold space for myself, hold space for you, that maybe there's things in your life that you've been trying to control so hard and it hasn't been working out. It's like maybe we need to pause, we need to realign. Like, what are our intentions? Life is so much about intentions. That's your thought base, your belief based system. Like, what is my intention with wanting Milo to be warm? Well, I want him to be warm and taken care of because he's my baby and I want to make sure that I want to make sure he's feeling comfortable. And it makes me feel really uncomfortable. Like if I imagine him cold outside. But, right, how is that serving me? That's not. Like he's a big boy. If he gets cold, maybe he's going to go ask a teacher to go get his coat. And if they say no, then he's going to learn his lesson. In the next recess, he's going to go get his coat. And I have to let go. I have to be in that discomfort. And so my beautiful soul sisters, as we wind down this lovely podcast of sharing and connecting, is maybe our self-care practice today is this reflection on where have you been holding control that perhaps once was serving you or the people around you. Where can you loosen the reins? Where can you exhale and invisibly let go, invisibly, emotionally, energetically, mentally? And when you do all of those, guess what happens? This physical manifestation comes and you feel, that's when we feel like that 500-pound weight lifting off of our shoulders, because that's energy, right? You let that go. You're like, that's no longer helping me. Those moments of like vulnerability and just accepting things for as they are, that's when we can really exhale. And once again, coming back to the beautiful metaphor of the season of fall that we are experiencing. And where I live right now, it is like fall, autumn is in its full, beautiful bloom. I would say like 70% of the trees have transitioned to the golden. And when I went down to the valley yesterday, there was this like street that we kept passing that was like those burnt red orange trees that were like, oh, just gorgeous. And the elk are rutting and they're bugling and they're fighting over dominance and females. And it's like beautiful and confusing and intriguing. And I forget, this is my third fall living up here this time around. And I am allowing the magic in the mornings. I'm not allowing the magic in the afternoons. Right now I see this little blue bird that's just like popping around. And maybe as you sit with this resistance and what is it that you can let go of, that maybe you can be one with nature, be still with nature, allow a rootedness from nature to alchemize within you, that you can look to those trees around you or connect to that house plant that has those roots that grow down deep and really connect yourself here and knowing there's nothing wrong with you, that what you're experiencing is exactly what you need to. And even if it's hard and it's challenging and you are just like in it, in the discomfort, whether it's with your physical appearance, your emotional state, your mental state, your relationships with others, your spiritual practice, your business, your profession, your job, your finances, wherever the discomfort is. And maybe it's like a big shit show blanket around everything. Hold space. Hold space in a way that's really honoring, a space that's nurturing, a space that's unconditionally loving, a space that you would hold for your soul sister, for perhaps your daughter or your son or somebody you love and honor dearly. hold that same sacred space, that same love, that same compassion. Offer forgiveness to you because you need it. We need it. I have to forgive myself like 27 times a day. And it's the ego part of us that's like taking over. And then our heart is like, it's okay. You've got this. You're okay. You needed to do that. Let it go. Let those trees show you how to let go of dead things, how to not hold on. And I actually wrote this beautiful mini blog for the We Spot. It was a letter to trees, and it was changing with fall. It's on the We Spot, probably I think on their Facebook or on their website. That is really beautiful. I can't share it here because I signed a contract that said I would only share it to their site, but it was really beautiful. If you're interested in hearing that and just vibing with that, big breath in, let go. Okay, I'm your accountability buddy. I'm your accountability soul sister. What is it that you can let go? Like what part of control of yourself, others? What is it that you can let go of? That you can let trees be your greatest teacher in this moment. Hold space. I love you. And once again, I'm in awe and gratitude and joy and just, I almost feel this like beautiful wave of peace and contentment being here and showing up with you. Words can't even describe this connection and the gratitude that I feel for you being here. So thank you. Thank you for showing up for you. Thank you for showing up with me. And please share this with one person today, with one person. And maybe that one person could share with one person, because there's little nuggets and messages within this space here. I honor you. I acknowledge you. I love you deeply and dearly. You can connect with me on Awaken You Healing Center with Shelly with many free, amazing classes. I'm getting ready to record some lovely yoga classes today, meditations on there, and you can just check me out on Facebook and Instagram. I haven't been like super active. It's Awaken You Shelly Bond on Instagram, Shelly Bond Facebook. I'm feeling like this disconnect, but I'm still trying to keep plugged in because I know that it's a source of connecting with community and people. And I would love to hear if you have any insights or thoughts or anything that you have questions about or want me to ponder with you. And you can email me at awakenyoushelleybond@gmail.com. I would be beyond grateful to share from an anonymous name or from your true heart. I love you. I love you. I will be back here hanging out with you next week. Goodbye until next week, my beautiful soul sisters.